I don't know, maybe that's a part of some other franchise chain that escapes my memory at the moment. But it was the exact same logo mark. And I was like, oh,
There's
that's
nothing
not
new
going
under
to
the
work.
sun.
Yeah. So lots of things hit the fan. And I was like,
crazy world of branding.
Yeah, I was like, somebody didn't just Google.
Step one in brand establishment. Google it, see if it's already there.
Yeah. So happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to the NerdBrand Podcast. We're back. I'm Jason. That's Mitch. That's John. And we welcome back Diana Richardson from Semrush. Hey. So, John, you had a question about that you put in there, just a kind of a thought question that you put in under the Netflix for the brand bit. Mm-hmm. I really thought it was interesting when I read it. I'll let you kind of read it and ask it, and we'll get everybody's kind of opinion on it.
Yeah, I can't remember the guy's name. It's from Twitter, and it kind of started a debate and a thread, and I thought it was an interesting one because, well, I'll just put it out there. It's basically, if you're a startup, is it valuable to make your brand appear bigger or more prominent, more expert than it genuinely is, or is that a detriment? And I think the setup again was kind of like, there's a potential detriment and an expectation setting that maybe you can't deliver on if you create this perception that your startup is more capable than it actually is. But on the other side, as marketers, we're constantly engaged in the term that I'm familiar with is puffery. Like we're puffing ourselves up, we're puffing the brand up. It may not be 100% genuine, but we're staying on the other side of the line from fraud. And that's a very thin line. But I just kind of wanted to pitch that out there, especially as a startup. Is it a good position to take to put yourself in a role where you appear bigger with your marketing than you actually are behind the scenes?
I think that any inauthenticity will come to light at some point. I also feel like people these days really love a startup. They've been there, they love the underdog, and they love watching a business or a brand grow. And there's nothing wrong with being a startup and being small. That is how every business literally started. Like Apple was not just born Apple. Like it took forever. And so I feel like if you fluff it up, if you, it can come off egotistical, or it can come off like I already know I'm this good and I'm going to achieve that, as opposed to connecting with the audience and like building it up together. I think that is a stronger way to truly grow than faking it.
I mean, I've always said that the one thing the internet has brought to the forefront is people have the ability they have the ability to find out the truth because they have access to information in a way that about brands and brand competitors and all that they never had before. So to your point, I think the danger is if you overextend the message about what you're actually capable of, people are going to find out because people do their homework now. They have a venue, they have an avenue now to find out about you in a way they didn't before. Back in the old days, you could puff yourself up pretty, with a certain level of confidence that, how are people going to know any better? Well, now they got the internet, and people have always complained more about a bad experience than they've trumpeted the good experiences. Mm-hmm. So, and they, if there's ever been a place they do it, it's on the internet or it's on social media. So all I would say, just, be careful. Be careful about what you say about yourself. If you say you're capable of doing something, you darn well be able to back it up to a reasonable expectation.
Yeah. And then I wonder too, like if you've fluffed yourself up in the very beginning, like what do you say about yourself when you've actually achieved that goal? Because now thinking in the future, what is your marketing message going to be? Because you've already said it. And now we've finally reached that threshold. So now what do you say now?
Now you got to puff yourself up again.
That's just a vicious cycle, I think.
Well, Diana, to your point, people love an underdog.
I think
People
so.
love to cheer for an underdog, and people like what's new. I mean, if there's something else the internet has proven, people jump on new things. You have an advantage as a startup of being in that new thing. Take advantage of that. Leverage that. There's if your brand is solid enough, if there's enough there about what your brand has to offer, you got plenty to crow about without having to make stuff up. Now, if that's not the case, you've got a bad business model or something like that. All the puffery in the world is not going to solve that problem. Yeah. I mean, you may see a short-term gain, but again, people are going to find out the truth. People are going to complain and squawk, and they're going to cut your legs out from under you.
I think
so. Yeah, take advantage of being the new kid. Take advantage of what that brings to the table.
I think there is an advantage, like, you're talking about what I would call the honeymoon period. And you do have a certain amount of time to sort of take calculated risks, in that honeymoon period. When the honeymoon period's over, you can't take those risks anymore. And I mean big risks. I don't mean like, ventures and things, but it just kind of made me think of over-promising and under-delivering. And that's really what you got to watch for. If you really think you're going to under-deliver and you've promised really big, you just got to back away. Don't do it. Just instead find somebody for that person that can do it, and just be that referral, whether it's pass through or whatever happens, commission on that. Just step away and be honorable about that.
And there's a lot of honor in that. Like, if you're the customer and you're seeking this person out, and they say, look, like, that's just out of our scope right now, but here's this other awesome business. Like, there's a lot of genuineness and respect that comes from doing something like that for a customer.
Yeah. I mean, we've had people ask us, like, can you do app development? And I'm like, a hard no. No, we don't do that. We have who we have on our team, and with the skills that they have, that's really what we primarily go after and what we primarily promise and do, within reason.
Is that in the future plans for you guys?
I can tell you, I got my foot into that a little bit at some places that I worked at in the past. You gotta have a lot of developers on staff, and you gotta have a really good head developer. That's the guy that's going to build that thing with you. Or gal today, because I've met some women that are very savvy with that. And if you have that development team and they understand the software cycle, being agile and testing, and also testing it too while it's probably out in the real world live, whether it's beta users, it's just a completely different animal than from advertising that we're in. So it would be just another business, in my opinion, too. And then, do you do software subscriptions with it, or is it a web-based app? Is it a mobile app? And then how do you do the research on that to make sure that it's working well, testing it, so you have to have a UX person, somebody that really understands real UX. So yeah, it's something that if we ever got into, sure, it'd probably be lucrative to do, but the infrastructure I would need, the people I would have to hire, geez, Pete, like, I'd have to. I'm not yeah, I'm not there. Yeah, I mean, we just don't have the ability.
Yeah, to your point, it requires so much infrastructure. I would say that's having a division of a company, that if you're a marketing company or an advertising agency, you'd have to be large enough that you could afford to have that separate kind of division. If you're going to do it right, because you have to devote so many resources to doing it to do it well.
Yeah, because a lot of agencies outsource web development, and there's nothing wrong with that because there's so many out there. But when you get into app development, that's not something you want to outsource and continue to have as an outsource. You really want that person there, because you need to, the amount of meetings you need to have to test new product that's developed, it really needs to have that team. I mean, I worked at a place that was pretty small, but they were in a niche. I won't say who or what, but they were in a niche. So it was very easy for them to create new product for service for these folks. And yeah, they built websites, but that was sort of kind of like an a la carte thing. It's like, oh yeah, you got this thing, but you get a website on top of it to help advertise it. And this is like many, many years ago. And but their development team would constantly test and retest and build and roll code. Like, they would just Red Bull the crap out of several 2 nights a week just to get through the week whenever they were rolling new product. That's why I'm like, man, and you got to pay somebody well to do that. That's not going to be, 15 minimum, whatever that wage is going to end up being an hour. That's not that. You're looking at close to 6 figures for somebody to do that and run that.
And you need someone who knows what the heck they're doing, and that takes time and experience. So
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, because I mean, when somebody comes to us and they want a custom WordPress site, I've been building themes for probably 10 years now or more. And I don't hang my hat on it because, WordPress theme, you can get a WordPress theme from anywhere, which is a lot of the reasons why I'm still around, because I'm fixing those problems with, an actual custom theme, because they bought one on a, marketplace and it's bloated and it's breaking down and they're about a bad hosting solution. And there's all kinds of drama. And, so trying to build a solution that fits and a theme that just doesn't have all these whizzy bangs that you don't need. That's what I do. I build the button you clicked inside WordPress. That's what I do. I don't buy the theme and lay out the pages. There's a big difference. A lot of people hear WordPress developer, they think, oh, you bought a theme, you put my content on it, you built my pages out for me. Yay, you're a WordPress dev. No, not really. That's not
site developer.
Yeah, if you've never opened up Core and read it and looked at it, read the comments, made your own WordPress function like I have, which I don't do that anymore because there's so many now. Then no, I'm sorry. That's not a qualification, in my opinion. But yeah. But anyways, with e-commerce, yeah, you kind of want to take these things into consideration because it's still a website, regardless of what you're doing with it, even if you're selling product online. I think we had a lot of really good points. I will definitely have fun editing this episode.
I always feel slightly bad because I feel like I give the editors like more work than they already have.
That's how our podcast works. I mean, it's a feature. It's a feature, not a problem.
Yeah. I mean, we had somebody, we ran into somebody that was a guest on our show last night, and he's like, yeah, your podcast, you kind of let me be a person. And I really didn't know how to take that. It's just Mitch and me and this other guy. But then I kind of sat there and I was like, I mean, it's a compliment. Obviously, I was like, oh, thank you. But yeah, we want you to be a person. It's not an interview on the show. It's kind of like it's a discussion that hopefully in the discussion that you can take something away and use. So, and that's really the goal of the show, is because there's a lot of marketing shows. There's a lot of other rant places like that one and everything, and they're good shows. And I wanted to do something very different with this one. So very pleased that you could be a part of that, Diana, be on that and join us in the chat.
I am too. This is so much fun. I look forward to hanging out with you guys every time. So
well, hopefully we'll be talking about like seeing more things happen, because I know that as movie theaters open up, you're going to see more in cinema advertising. You're going to see more shows, more stuff happening. People are going to be going to movies. So, I don't know, and this is just kind of tacked on to the end here. I don't know if anybody's seen episode 1 and 2 of Loki.
Nope.
Seen 1. I haven't seen 2 yet.
You guys got to check it out.
I've just been binging Handmaid's Tale and Wings, so I needed the Wings was balancing the Handmaid's Tale.
You got the light with the heavy.
Woo. Handmaid's Tale was very heavy this season.
But Loki is, I'm pretty interested to see what happens, because we've talked about the streaming wars before, but I'm kind of curious to see what happens once Loki's kind of done shtick, like what's next, because I don't know of any other shows that Disney Plus is going to be putting out, because everything's going to shift to cinematic.
And I just read very bum news that they're not making a season 2 of WandaVision.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
I guess it makes sense though, because I mean, everybody here okay if I say something about the ending?
Well, the audience may not be.
We'll do a countdown. If you haven't been to the end yet, then you have 10 seconds to disengage. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Poor Mitch loses his voice.
Yeah, really. Like Mitch is like that 4, 3.
Never got to 1.
You never got to 1. Everybody's like listening to 1.
1.
People that are not watching the video, they're listening on the audio, and they're like, "Did he say 1?" Rewind. No, I mean, she's at the end. She's in the cabin. She's reading the Darkhold, which and it's like, I think that what's going to happen is I don't think there's a possibility for a second season, because This is just my theory, but I think she's probably one of the villains in the Doctor Strange movie because of what she's getting ready to do. I mean,
Well, I was going to say that the rest of that story will unfold in the next Doctor Strange film. So there's really probably, like to your point, there's probably not a need for a second season.
All I can say is just if you haven't seen Loki #2, episode 2, go watch it. You'll see what I mean. They're tying up all those loose ends on streaming, which is why I'm like, I'm not sure you're going to even see a season 2 of Loki, or you'll see a season 2 of any of these. That's kind of why I'm like really curious, because of how they're kind of weaving the story. And this is what Marvel does. They do a really good job of weaving this tapestry. And at the end, you kind of look at it and go, oh, like that's a really impressive thing to do. So anyway.
Just all I ask, just bring Daredevil back. Daredevil was the best of the Netflix Marvel shows. It was so on point.
Well, next time we do this, guys, we need to have a drinking game. And every time Mitch says Daredevil, we take a shot.
Yeah,
we got it. Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
I'll 11:30 in the morning.
I'll go ahead and wrap us up and close this out because.
Well, can I say something really quick about Marvel? Oh, and I actually have a Twitter account recommendation for you guys. I'll say that first. And they reached out to me personally because Semrush, we actually found them. And then they reached out to me personally. And they are Star Wars SEO memes.
I saw that. I followed it.
So he messaged me on, I'm sorry, I'm assuming it was a he, messaged me on Twitter, and I immediately said, do you know the NerdBrand? Because it's right up their alley. And he was like, no, I'm going to go follow them right now. So I recommended him to you guys to him, and you guys should follow him as well, because we've had a lot of Semrush. We've had a lot of fun with their Star Wars themed SEO memes. And then
I did follow him back. I saw that.
You're welcome. That's my pro tip for today.
This is why we have you on the show.
Yeah. My Twitter connections. What I was going to say about Marvel though too is sometimes Marvel. So I'm not ingrained in the Marvel universe. I pick it up here and there, and I watch when I can. So for someone like me, it's actually quite difficult in the stories that they weave together, where some of it is told in the movie and then some of it is told here, and characters appear over there and over there, because I'm not always. So it actually makes it quite overwhelming for someone who's a casual watcher, and there's a lot of things like Harry Potter, I watched and read everything, right? So I can pick up Easter eggs and I know where this is funny, and I miss that with Marvel, because I want to pick up on those things on Marvel, but I just don't have the time to watch, catch up. I feel like I'm too far behind now too. So I'm just a casual viewer.
It's never too late. It's never too late. And part of the issue with Marvel is it's different than say Harry Potter is the Marvel universe is so big. And it goes back. Their history goes back so far, and they've just scratched the surface as far as what they've got as far as the storytelling they can do. They've got decades of material.
How genius is that of a business idea? Whoever came up with this, was the ultimate business and storytelling genius in one.
Kevin Feige,
yeah.
And, there you go. Kudos to you, Kevin. Good job.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying though. Yeah, if you missed out on a couple of the movies prior to Endgame, even the series, what you might be watching that and be like, why is that a significant thing? It might be a little difficult, but I think that's something they're trying to watch very carefully. Because you really don't need to know Doctor Strange's origin story to figure out that character or to see him in the Avengers movie or probably even the sequel. And that's the nice thing, is getting away from that origin story and the why from that within those narratives, I think probably benefited them a lot. It's a shame though, because I'm a DC guy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And I just, I'm like, you told me Aquaman 2, and I'm like, yeah, but if we said it.
But
we've already had the first one. Did we not say enough already? That's kind of how I feel.
That was probably one of the best things they've done in the last 3 or 4 years, which I on a DC scale, I'd give it 3.5, 4 stars. On a Marvel scale, I'd give it 2.5 or 3 stars. I mean, that's when that tells you that's the best they have. That's the best they can do at this point. It's like, well, okay, if you say so.
They got to make up for Wonder Woman 2. They got to make up for Wonder Woman 1984 because we all know how that went. That's a Tweety Bird and Sylvester ending there on that movie. That's all I saw. It was. I mean, if anybody, if you hear on here have seen the ending of Wonder Woman 2, you'll get what I mean by that reference with Sylvester and Tweety Bird, because that's exactly what played out. A cat and a bird fight.
Well, we're not being nice anymore.
No, we're not. This part probably won't make it into the show. Anytime I start trashing on DC, I'm like, yeah, can't say that. Because, somebody said something and Walt Disney World peeked at John's profile. And I'm like, it's probably because we put Han Solo's gun on the site. But we bought that. We bought that graphic. That's our license.
Yeah, you paid your royalties.
Yeah, we paid our royalties, exactly. But I knew that was probably what it was.
Don't make the mouse attorneys come after you.
Yeah,
they're rabid.
Yeah, just don't give them any excuse.
Never want to meet a Disney lawyer.
Yeah. I mean, there was a podcast. There was not a podcast. There was a YouTuber recently that did a show, and he talked about Disney, and he put up a thing really quickly. It was called Film Theory. Film Theory. That's who it is. So if you've not heard of Film Theory or watched any of his stuff, go check that out on YouTube. But yeah, he was like, Disney, please don't sue me because I'm using the mouse, because he was using the mouse and talking about common, it's coming up for Batman and Superman to be in public domain. And so
the copyright's running out.
Yeah. And Mickey Mouse, they tried to, they keep preventing that, and they wrote some sort of legislation. They went and took it that far to write legislation to say that it's in almost perpetual under license, which you can't do. So the judge looked at it and they said they wanted to do kind of an infinity license on that, so they can never be in public domain with Mickey Mouse and all the characters. And they were like, you can't do that. And they said, okay, fine, infinity minus 1 day. That's true. They actually pitched that.
Infinity minus 1
day. So that they could say that technically there is an ending. And the judge was like, no.
Not understand what infinity is.
Yeah. So Mickey Mouse is coming up for public domain as well.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, I think it's in 2023. So
you should buy it.
Oh God, no. I mean, I remember when Apple lost their minds when people got iMe or me.com and all those domains and started running after everything with an I in front of it. And which, yeah, we own NerdBrand. I don't think anybody's gonna care though. But yeah, it kind of reminds me of that. You're gonna have that fight coming up. So it's gonna be an interesting couple of years with copyrights and trademarks. They'll expire. I mean,
that's going to be fascinating for brand nerds like us. So
it is. Yes, that's true. Yeah, because we're pushed, because every time like I said, we started the show with talking about copyrights. Did you look it up? Did you see if somebody's using it already? So anyways, we want to thank you, Diana, for being on the show with us and coming back, hanging out, talking to us about all kinds of things that, if you're listening at this point in the podcast, there's a lot of stuff that I did have to cut out because we mentioned stuff that we just don't want people to know, but it's all nice things. Anything really terrible. So, yeah, we really appreciate having you on the show. You're just an absolute joy to hang out with and talk, and, tell the people where they can find you, just in case they missed it on the first episode with us.
Yeah, no problem. So you can find Semrush all over social media, including TikTok. We are on TikTok now. And we are Semrush across the board. We actually just had, I don't know when this is going to air, so I won't date this, but we just recently launched a whole new re-engineering of our backlinks analytics tool suite. It's all 5 tools in one. It's pretty spectacular if you are in the backlinking part of your SEO journey. I am on LinkedIn and Twitter. You can just LinkedIn my search. I was going to say Google my name on LinkedIn, but that didn't make sense. So you can LinkedIn my name, Diana Richardson. I have a wine glass next to my name, and I am Diana Rich013 on Twitter.
Yep. And then to kind of shamelessly plug ourselves, you can go to nerdbrandagency.com/podcast. Check out this episode of the podcast. You can go to YouTube, like, subscribe, click the bell, get the latest episode. notification, do the YouTube things, guys out there and gals, just do those things for us. We would love to get a vanity URL. We're still trying to get that. We're young, we're new, only been there for a year and a half. So, but you can also probably go to nerdbrandagency.com/Semrush if we can do that. And then you can actually get you an account with them and check out this new tool, and and then call John or email John.
Talk to Diana.
Yeah, and then because then
or talk to the person who works at Semrush.
Yeah,
that's right, exactly.
Yeah, all the introductions will happen, and you'll actually have a real SEO, search engine marketing plan going. So that's kind of what we want to help you with. So, all right, well, thanks everybody for listening to the show. Thank you, Diana, for being with us, and we'll tell everybody out there, remember, keep your nerd brand strong.